She looks like a nobody, oil-stained, crouched beneath a rusted van. A soldier laughs. Another draws his weapon. They thought she was trespassing. What they didn't know. She wrote the playbook they study. Ghost Company 7. Erased from history, but never defeated. Because when General Hayward recognizes that tattoo and whispers her name, the entire base holds its breath. Justice doesn't always march in uniform. Sometimes it rises from the shadows they tried to bury. Let us know where you're watching from and what time you found this. We read every single comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. The searing afternoon sun glints off General Marcus Hayward's polished nameplate as he stands at his office window, jaw clenched tight. 27 years of military service have taught him to recognize trouble before it erupts, and the scene unfolding in the motor pool sends ice through his veins. His young soldiers, their weapons trained on the figure beneath the broken-down transport van, have no idea they're about to become part of a story that will haunt them forever. General Marcus Hayward's fingers brush against the commander's coin in his pocket. His lucky charm, his burden, his reminder of that fateful day when he signed the papers authorizing Ghost Company 7. The metallic gleam of a familiar tattoo catches his eye, and his heart nearly stops. Even from this distance, he'd recognize those markings anywhere. Ghost Company 7's insignia, etched into skin that's seen more battle than all his current soldiers combined. "Stand down!" General Marcus Hayward's voice booms across the yard, authority crackling through each syllable. His boots crunch against gravel as he strides toward the standoff, medals weighing heavy on his chest. The young soldiers exchange uncertain glances, their fingers still tight on their triggers. They don't lower their weapons. Not yet. They haven't learned what real power looks like. "Sir, this civilian was caught tampering with military equipment," one of the rookies reports, pride evident in his voice. The fool thinks he's done something right. General Marcus Hayward's lip curls slightly as he approaches the van, each step measured and deliberate. He knows what they see, just another vagrant, another threat to be neutralized. But he sees the truth beneath the surface. The figure slowly emerges from under the van, and General Marcus Hayward's breath catches in his throat. Evelyn Rhodes. The ghost he never expected to face again. Her eyes meet his, and in them he sees Jalres Valley burning all over again. His hand unconsciously tightens around the commander's coin until its edges bite into his palm. "Lower your weapons," General Marcus Hayward orders, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "That's an order." The soldiers hesitate, confusion evident on their faces. Their uncertainty feeds his growing anger. How dare they question his authority? He's earned every star on his shoulder, every medal on his chest. A small crowd begins to gather, phones appearing like fireflies at dusk. General Marcus Hayward notices one young private already streaming the Confrontation live. General Confrontation starts trending within minutes. Let them watch, he thinks. Let them see how a real commander handles a situation. "Do you know who this is?" General Marcus Hayward's voice carries across the now silent motor pool. "This is Evelyn Rhodes of Ghost Company 7. While you were still learning to walk, she was writing the playbook you study now." The words taste like ash in his mouth. Each syllable brings him closer to a truth he's spent decades burying. Have you ever held power so absolute it terrified you? Have you felt the weight of decisions that could reshape lives? General Marcus Hayward has, and standing here now, facing the ghost of his past choices, he feels that power beginning to crack. The commander's coin burns in his pocket as he remembers the day he formed Ghost Company 7. He'd polished it that morning, just as he had every morning since, a ritual of remembrance and denial. Now, As Evelyn Rhodes stands before him, that same coin feels like a testament to his greatest triumph, or perhaps his greatest sin. Type command if you've ever witnessed power clash with truth. His mind races back to the briefing room where he'd first authorized Ghost Company's formation. Some missions require ghosts, he'd said then, confident in his authority, certain of his righteousness. Now, facing one of those ghosts in broad daylight, General Marcus Hayward feels the first tremor of doubt shake his foundation. The young soldiers still haven't lowered their weapons completely. Their loyalty to protocol wages war with their respect for his command. In their hesitation, General Marcus Hayward sees his own reflection from decades past, so sure, so blind, so dangerous. "Sir," Evelyn Rhodes speaks for the first time, her voice carrying the weight of years. "Samira would want you to remember." The name hits him like a physical blow. Samira Sam Blake. The soldier whose final wish he'd ignored, whose sacrifice he'd buried beneath medals and procedure. What happens when the past you've hidden comes looking for you? General Marcus Hayward is about to find out, and the answer will shake the very foundations of his carefully constructed empire. The sun catches his medals again, throwing shadows across the motor pool. The young private's phone continues to record. Hatch General Confrontation climbing Twitter's trending list. In this moment, General Marcus Hayward stands at a crossroads, his authority facing its greatest challenge not from external threats, but from the truth he's hidden for so long. Will his power survive this confrontation with the ghost he created? The answer trembles in the air between them, as tangible as the commander's coin pressing against his palm, as volatile as the memories threatening to explode. General Marcus Hayward stares at the security feeds, watching younger soldiers huddle around their phones, sharing whispers about Ghost Company 7. His stomach churns as decades of carefully maintained silence crumble beneath the weight of social media's relentless curiosity. The commander's coin feels heavier in his palm with each passing minute, its worn surface a testament to promises made and kept in darkness. Through the window of his office, he observes the precise formations of today's soldiers, their uniforms pristine, their training conventional. So different from the shadows where Ghost Company 7 operated. The morning bugle call pierces the air, and General Marcus Hayward flinches, remembering other bugles, other ceremonies conducted in secret, names that could never be spoken aloud. "Sir," his aide interrupts, tablet in hand, "the hashtag has reached over 50,000 mentions. They're finding old mission reports, connecting dots we thought we'd erased." The general's fingers tighten around the coin until his knuckles whiten. 20 years of classification, of redacted files and careful misdirection, dissolving in the digital age. In the privacy of his office, General Marcus Hayward pulls out a bottom drawer, revealing a leather-bound folder marked "Classified Ghost Company 7 Operations." The papers inside smell of age and secrets, each page chronicling missions that officially never happened. His eyes linger on a group photo, edges worn smooth from handling. Samira Sam Blake stands in the center, her fierce determination evident even then. Next to her, a younger Evelyn Rhodes, both women carrying the weight of assignments that would never appear in history books. "We did what we had to," he whispers to the empty room. But the justification rings hollow now. The general remembers the classified briefings, the careful construction of cover stories. The families told their loved ones died in training accidents when they'd actually fallen, securing objectives that saved thousands. His role in maintaining the silence weighs heavier than any medal on his chest. A notification chimes on his computer. Another viral post, this time featuring archived footage someone discovered of Ghost Company 7's training exercises. The comments flood with questions, theories, demands for truth. General Marcus Hayward watches his carefully maintained wall of secrecy fracture, knowing each crack reveals another piece of a story he helped bury. The base's afternoon formation assembles outside his window. Young faces, earnest and unaware of the shoulders they stand upon. His hand moves to the phone, muscle memory nearly dialing the Pentagon's classification office, but he stops. The commander's coin catches the light, reminding him of the oath taken not just to the military, but to the soldiers under his command. "Have you ever buried the truth to protect others?" he types into his private journal, a habit formed during the darkest days of Ghost Company 7's operations. When does protection become betrayal? The trending hashtag appears on every screen in the command center now. General Marcus Hayward watches his junior officers exchange glances, sees the recognition dawning in their eyes as they piece together fragments of a legacy he helped hide. The weight of decades of silence presses down on his shoulders, heavier than all his stars and medals combined. Evening approaches, and with it more revelations. Someone has connected Ghost Company 7 to previously unexplained successes, missions where victory seemed to materialize from nowhere. The general stands at his window, watching the flag lower for retreat, remembering faces of those who gave everything, including their place in history. Type, "Truth rises." If you believe every hero deserves to be remembered. His computer screen fills with news alerts. Military forums buzz with speculation. Veterans of other units begin sharing their own fragments of memory. Pieces of a puzzle General Marcus Hayward spent years ensuring would never be completed. The commander's coin feels like it's burning in his pocket now, a physical reminder of obligations both kept and betrayed. As darkness falls over the base, he makes a decision that will reshape his legacy. General Marcus Hayward opens his classified files, begins the process that will change everything. Because sometimes, he realizes, the greatest honor isn't in keeping secrets, but in finally letting them free. The truth about Ghost Company 7 was never classified to hide their failures, he types in an official memo, but to protect a system unprepared for their successes. His finger hovers over the send button, 20 years of ingrained secrecy warring with the need for justice. Outside his office, #GhostCompanySon continues to trend, a digital monument to heroes hidden too long in shadow. General Marcus Hayward thinks of Samira Blake's final wish, of Evelyn Rhodes's quiet determination, and of all the stories buried beneath regulations and fear. The time for silence has passed. General Marcus Hayward stares at his reflection in the memorial wall, the polished black surface mercilessly highlighting every new line etched into his face. 20 years of maintaining rigid control, of keeping Ghost Company 7's legacy locked behind classification walls. And now it's all unraveling because of one chance encounter with Evelyn Rhodes. The commander's coin burns in his palm as he traces another name with trembling fingers. Each letter feels like an accusation now. The distant thrum of helicopter rotors sends a shiver down his spine. Not from the familiar sound of approaching aircraft, but from the memories they stir. Memories he's spent decades containing. His phone buzzes again. Another notification about the trending hashtag #GhostCompany. General Marcus Hayward's grip tightens on the coin as he opens the latest video. Young lieutenants crowded around Rhodes in the mess hall, their faces shining with wonder as she shares stories of their predecessors, stories he ordered buried. "Sir?" Captain Chen approaches cautiously, tablet in hand. The social media posts. They're spreading beyond the base. Veterans from other units are starting to corroborate Rhodes' accounts. General Marcus Hayward's jaw clenches. These stories were classified for a reason, Captain. The burden of knowing. The weight of those decisions. His voice trails off as another helicopter passes overhead, the sound mixing with phantom echoes of evacuation calls and Rhodes' voice describing Sam's final moments. He moves through the base like a ghost himself now, watching his carefully constructed walls crumble. In the training yard, recruits pause their drills to whisper about Ghost Company's legendary last stand. In the officers' quarters, computers display grainy photos of familiar faces, their stories finally emerging from the shadows. The commander's coin feels heavier with each step. General Marcus Hayward realizes he's been clutching it so tightly that Sam's engraved name has left an impression in his palm. A fitting metaphor, he thinks bitterly, for how her memory has marked him all these years. "General Hayward," a young sergeant calls out, then falters under his sharp gaze. "Sir, we found more records about Ghost Company 7's rescue operations, the number of lives they saved." The general waves him away, but the damage is done. The truth is spreading like wildfire through the ranks, igniting a connection between past and present that he can no longer control. His phone continues to buzz with notifications, each one hammering home the reality that his grip on this story, on their story, is slipping. In his office, General Marcus Hayward sinks into his chair, the weight of 2 decades of silence crushing down on him. The setting sun casts long shadows across his desk, where Sam's last letter lies exposed. The one he never delivered to Rhodes, the one that could have changed everything years ago. "Have you ever watched your life's work unravel before your eyes?" he whispers to the empty room. "Have you felt the ground shift beneath your feet as truth breaks free of the chains you wrapped around it?" The base intercom crackles to life, announcing the evening formation. But instead of the usual quiet efficiency, there's an energy in the air. A current of connection flowing between generations of soldiers, bridging the gap he fought so hard to maintain. General Marcus Hayward stands at his window, watching as Rhodes emerges from the mess hall, surrounded by a group of young soldiers. Their phones are out, recording, sharing, spreading the story further. He can almost hear Sam's voice. "Some burdens aren't meant to be carried alone." The commander's coin slips from his trembling fingers, clattering on the floor with a sound that echoes like the fall of an empire built on silence. Type, "Truth prevails," if you've ever witnessed the power of a story breaking free. The sun sets on the base as General Marcus Hayward faces the consequences of his choices, while outside his window, the legacy of Ghost Company 7 rises from the ashes of classification, carried forward on the wings of connection and shared memory. General Marcus Hayward's fingers traced the commander's coin that had symbolized his absolute authority for 15 years, but today, its weight felt different. Wrong. The morning sun streaming across Fort Bennett's parade grounds caught the metal surface, momentarily blinding him as hundreds of boots thundered in formation. His empire of rigid control was about to face its greatest test. The sight of Evelyn Rhodes approaching the podium sent an unfamiliar tremor through his hands. That Ghost Company 7 tattoo on her forearm seemed to mock everything he'd built. His carefully maintained narrative about modern warfare's supremacy, his dismissal of outdated combat wisdom. He'd spent years ensuring younger soldiers never questioned current doctrine. "Their phones are out," Captain Chen whispered beside him, tension evident. "Sir, maybe we should—" "Silence!" General Marcus Hayward snapped, but his voice lacked its usual steel. Already, hundreds of devices pointed toward the stage. Ghost companies would trend within hours. He knew it. His carefully constructed walls were crumbling. Rhodes took the microphone, her eyes finding his. The same defiance he'd seen when first spotting her tattoo remained, but now it carried the weight of truth. The morning air grew thick with anticipation as she began Samira Blake's story. General Marcus Hayward watched young soldiers lean forward, their expressions shifting from skepticism to wonder. "Sir," Chen tried again, "CNN is already—" The general's coin slipped from his trembling fingers, clattering against the reviewing stand's metal floor. The sound echoed like an execution bell. In that moment, General Marcus Hayward saw his decades of suppressing ghost companies' legacy for what it was. Not protection of modern protocol, but fear. Fear that their sacrifice might overshadow his own carefully crafted image. Rhodes' voice carried across the parade ground. Samira Blake's final words weren't about glory. They were about connection, understanding, the bridges between generations of warriors that some tried to burn. Her eyes locked onto General Marcus Hayward's face as phones lifted higher, recording his reaction. The collective intake of breath from hundreds of throats struck him like physical blow. He saw careers flash before him, not just his own, but all those he'd influenced to dismiss the past. The hashtag #Hayward'sFall appeared on a young lieutenant's screen, spreading like wildfire. "Drop one if you stand with Ghost Company," someone shouted from the ranks. Hundreds of phones tilted downward as fingers typed, the sound of tapping like rainfall on his pride. General Marcus Hayward's hand found the space where his coin had rested for so long. Empty now, like the justifications he'd used. Rhodes' words about Samira Blake's sacrifice thundered in his ears, drowning out the last of his resistance. His voice cracked, drawing every eye. "I was wrong." The admission escaped before he could stop it, captured by countless cameras. His empire of silence crumbled not with a bang, but with the soft sound of truth, finally spoken. Share this moment if you believe every soldier's story deserves to be heard. The past and present are bridged not by authority, but by understanding. General Marcus Hayward watched the taillights of Rhodes' van fade into the distance, feeling the weight of 3 decades of enforced silence finally lift from his shoulders. His hand, which had gripped command with iron certainty for so long, trembled slightly as he reached for the commander's coin in his pocket. His symbol of absolute authority that now felt both heavier and lighter than ever before. "You can't classify the human heart," General Marcus Hayward whispered, his voice carrying across the assembly ground where just days ago he had tried to silence a truth that refused to be buried. The youngest private present, barely 18, eyes bright with understanding, stepped forward to receive the coin. The metal caught the setting sun, gleaming like Samira Blake's dog tags had gleamed in that long-ago desert. General Marcus Hayward felt the collective intake of breath as the coin passed between them, the soft clink of metal on metal echoing like a bell toll across the years. "I spent 30 years protecting what I thought was order," he continued, his voice strengthening. "But order without truth is just another prison. Ghost Company 7 wasn't just a unit. They were the conscience we tried to file away." The wind stirred the dust on the parade ground, and General Marcus Hayward noticed how the soldiers' shadows stretched long behind them, merging together like the past reaching forward to embrace the present. On every surface, vehicles, windows, even scratched into the metal of canteens, the Ghost Company symbol had sprouted like wildflowers after rain. Not rebellious graffiti anymore, but a testament. Ghost Truth flashed on his phone. The hashtag that had started as his nightmare had become his redemption. General Marcus Hayward clicked on the latest viral video. His own voice, cracking with emotion, telling the full story of Samira Blake and her final mission. 5 million views in 24 hours. The truth, once freed, had wings. Type honor if you believe every soldier's story deserves to be heard. He spoke directly to the camera that a young corporal held steady, knowing this moment too would join the digital cascade that was reshaping military culture. Share this if you believe silence should never be the price of service. Looking at the faces before him, faces that had once snapped to attention at his approach, but now stood tall with something deeper than mere discipline, General Marcus Hayward understood the final lesson of Ghost Company 7. Command isn't about controlling the narrative, he said, his words carrying across the parade ground where Evelyn Rhodes had first confronted him. It's about ensuring every voice contributes to the story we tell together. The Ghost Company symbol caught his eye, freshly painted on the headquarters wall, authorized now by his own order. General Marcus Hayward touched his collar, where his general's stars caught the light. Some of you have asked why I'm retiring next week, he said, his voice clear in the evening air. The truth is, I've been promoted to storyteller, by a higher authority than any military command. Samira Blake's authority, the authority of truth itself. In his office later, General Marcus Hayward opened his safe one last time. Inside lay the classified files he had guarded for so long. Tomorrow they would be declassified. But tonight he added something new. His own commander's coin, laid atop the Ghost Company 7 records. A bridge between what was hidden and what would now be known. Share this moment, he said to the camera that had followed him, knowing millions would witness this final act of his command. Because the greatest honor we can give our heroes isn't silence. It's their stories, told in full voice, echoing through time. The setting sun painted his office in shades of gold, and General Marcus Hayward smiled as he heard the sound of boots in the corridor. Young soldiers heading to the new Ghost Company Memorial Hall, where Evelyn Rhodes would speak next week. Their footsteps echoed with purpose, with understanding, with the weight of stories finally set free. Drop a salute emoji if you believe every soldier's story deserves to be heard. Share this video to honor those who kept faith with truth, even when truth itself was classified. The greatest battles are sometimes fought not with weapons, but with the courage to speak, to listen, and to change. General Marcus Hayward turned off his office lights for the final time, leaving his command behind but carrying forward a different kind of authority, the authority that comes from finally, fully serving the truth.